Yeah, well, hot off the press. Yeah, we had a meeting last night for the footy club, and we decided that we are all for our association putting a letter of interest to Great Flinders to see if they're keen, or to see what their feeling is for merging the two leagues into one, every club retaining itself.
What they're planning to do is just Great Flinders and Eastern Eyre going together as is, and then see what happens. But
Really?
there are rumours that our hand's being pushed to join up with them, because there's two Port Lincoln teams that want to join in with Great Flinders.
Really?
Yeah, and one I think is Marble Range, which is obvious.
Yeah, I have heard that rumour, and that's because they like their netball following their football.
That would make sense.
Yeah, but there's another one wants to join in too. So if we don't act, it might get taken out of our hands. And I think if we make the move and go with Great Flinders, that'll be the catalyst that springs it out the other side with Midwest and Far West. Because Far West desperately want it. Yeah, because
well, 4-team comps are not really sustainable, are they?
And well, it's not, because they're very close to being a 3-team comp. Yeah, there's one that's teetering on the edge.
So Blues is what, teetering, are they? Or?
I don't know if it's them or Thevenard, but it's one.
Because Thevenard nearly fell over when they had their club rooms trashed, of course, which was pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. I think the problem's largely been up here, but then it's an extra 140 miles too. I went to a meeting, to show you how deep the problem is. I went to a meeting at Woorla. We were just talking about this sort of thing. Don McSweeney was there.
Great man. Yep.
It's just a pity that he didn't get to formulate a plan for EP footy, because he had the respect of everyone. People listened to him, and I reckon if he'd got up and said, "Right, boys, this is how it'll be, and this will start from next year, and no ifs and no bloody buts. This is what we're going to do," and we would have done it.
Because it looks like they're going to have to take apart every league and reassemble
and start again. Yeah.
But it's funny. I went to a Shane Crawford when he rode from Melbourne across to Perth, and for breast awareness, breast cancer awareness. And anyway, they had this bit of a setup where they interviewed 4 people. I was from Ports. There's a bloke from Eastern Ranges, a bloke from Cow, a bloke from Kimber. And they weren't shy on giving me a fair old bit of stick, and because one bloke made a comment, Port's been talking about being competitive every year, and they seem to always not come up with the goods. When do you think Ports will be able to be competitive and play in a grand final, etc., etc.? And I just thought, smug prick. And I think on the way
I know what you felt like doing, but anyway.
Oh, well, I was thinking on the way home that the best way I probably could have answered it is that, okay, what we'll do, we'll make Kimber now Arno Bay, and so from there, anywhere east of Kimber now becomes the ocean, so you're not drawing bugger all people from that. Buckleboo area now becomes Cow. Then if you're going out towards Koongua or out towards Kyancutta, that area is now basically Cleve and Rudall Way. And then anywhere south of that is like down towards Cleve, then becomes Tumby Bay.
Yep.
So when you start looking at that drawing arc compared to what they've got, 360 all around them, that's when they need a bit of a reality check to say, well, hang on,
But Don didn't do that, and he was in a position to do it. That's a pity, but he did a lot for footy.
Oh yeah, he did.
Good bloke.
A lot for footy.
And his wife was very good too. Very good.
How many leagues do you reckon there should be?
I don't know, but I'd like to be on the panel. In fact, I think this letter that Jeff Scott's got is going to suggest a panel, and I'd like to be on it. Something's got to be done, and some people are going to be hurt, There's no doubt about that.
No, but at least it can keep it going. But you know, I guess you've got to wonder you know, just how long the attrition can keep going to, you know, to be able to keep a competition intact.
Because it's not going to go back the other way.
No, I don't see the rural industry doing that, unfortunately.
Back when the B grade and the Colt started up, well, the B grade started after the Colt. The Colt started first. When the B grade started, in those early days, most farmers had a working man. That's where the numbers started to come in.
Correct, right.
And now, well, it's just gone the opposite. You can't keep the young ones home because everyone's got bigger and bigger, and the little boats got pushed aside.
Correct, right. There's no workers on farms anymore. That's right.
Nowadays, well, it won't be long and you'll be sitting in the lounge chair doing the work on the farm.
Yeah, just about right too, actually.
It's getting very close to it.
Yeah, just about.
As you've pointed out, that this attrition with the amalgamation of farms and the accumulation of various fellows, and so that has had a big impact. And likewise, you know, you look at Cleve today. There's one bank left there with 2 staff. The post office, for instance, now is privately owned. When I was there, it was back in the era when there was the itinerants. When I call them itinerants, it was the guys in the agri-business like Elders and Bennett's, and you had the post office. There were 3 or 4 banks in Cleve at that time, and they all had a contingent of young blokes, and they made up the footy team.
But you say about those workers coming in and making up the football team, well, that was right too, of course, but of course they've sort of pretty much gone by the way, haven't they?
Well, it has, and it's gone exactly like farming has gone, and that's the reality, that there's no longer that population of people there that you know, had been over the years. But that's the same for all country towns.
What's the population of Warminda?
I don't honestly know anymore.
About the same as it was back then, probably.
I doubt if there's as many here.
No, okay.
I mean, we own 6 or 7 farms, and most of them had a farmer and a share farmer back then.
Yep, that's right. And that's the way everything's gone. And of course, when they brought in work cover and super in the late 80s, that of course meant a lot of workers went as well.
It is really quite painful with dealing with that stuff.
Yep. Also didn't help the situation in driving a lot of workers off the...
Yeah, it did make a difference. It made a difference. I used to hate doing it too.
I know it's digressing, but I said to my wife, I said, oh, what's if we go for a drive? It was a Sunday afternoon. We'll go out and have a look out through Dark Peak and Carroloo and out through that country, and we hadn't been there for a long time. And I said, I'll buy you a counter lunch at the pub on Sunday at Dark Peak, but it's not open. So that's yes, that was a thriving pub in those days. So yeah, it's all changed.
And fairly quickly. Yeah, within 20 years.
Yeah,
yeah.
But all right, let's do this.
So you're from Burra?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you come around this side, Ron.
Burra,
So you're behind the bar?
Burra for about, I don't know, 14 years.
Really?
The pub, yep.
How long you been in Widner?
Oh, 14 months, not long.
What do you know about the place?
Not much at all.
Yeah. It's like every country town.
Here.
How'd you get involved with the football club?
I had a couple of the committee guys just come in and see me one day that know me and just asked me if I'd be interested. I thought about it long and hard.
Because it's a tough job.
Oh yeah, it's a tough job, but you know, if no one puts their hand up, it doesn't help anything, does it?
That's right, and just like every country town, the football club is important, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's the hub, you know, like really at the end of the day, if the football club doesn't survive in a small country town, then everything collapses around it, really, because the bakery supplies pies and pasties, you know, and the hotel supplies alcohol. You know, there's so much goes into the footy club.
And footballers meet netballers.
Yeah, that's right. Footballers meet netballers. Netballers meet footballers, and yeah, it's just yeah, it's the hub. You know, like you can really notice a difference between cricket season and footy season.
There's so much difference in between the two seasons socially, like he's saying. Like there's people that, even though the town's so small, that I don't see during the summer, and I only see during football netball season. Like you just don't, there's no big group gatherings of people type thing during summer over tennis and cricket season because everything's sort of separate. But then in football season, everyone follows, football, netball follow each other, so you're all together and it's the only time you see them. Yeah, yeah, it is, it's so true.
Because cricket season's like the blokes play footy and sure there's tennis and that, but it's not the same as football. Football brings the whole community together, it really does. Because the kids play sport early in the morning, then the young netballers play, the young footballers play, the B grade, the A grade, like it brings the whole community. It's a family day.
You know, without football, being in business for 35 years, it's not about just the football club, it's about what they bring back to the community. You know, like the oomph it gets through the winter season is quite, as a business,
you're really reliant.
Buggered without sport in winter, for sure you would be. You know, that just that little generation on a Saturday night, you know, the garage, you know, the fuel sales on a Saturday. So without supporting the club, you're not going to get nothing back, because if they're not there, you know, we've already seen the demise of cricket and tennis. You know, your summer sports go. It's really, you know, like you can't stress enough to keep these clubs going, because if you're gone, there's...
Well, other things close.
Other things will go, you know, other things in your community go as well.
Because it's about the biggest success is the survival of the club, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For everything that a club does for a community.
Yeah, well, that's immeasurable, what a football club or a sporting club does for the community, the dollars that it generates that you wouldn't otherwise bring in, and it's the camaraderie and the fellowship, and it's a good Saturday afternoon out for the whole family, and I think that's the beauty of it.
Tackled by Stringer.
Oh,
and the doggies
won't
be out
away.
here.
They've got a bit of space in the middle of the ground.
Corey Waters on that left. He's got Zachy fit tonight. I reckon he might have him.
Good grab.
Push back, Kev, push back! Thank you. Oh, this is touch and go here for distance too, I reckon. But
it'll be 30 seconds. This might be. Fuck.
He want to have a crack, I reckon. Any score will do.
Shit, I didn't think it was that close. I thought we still had a few minutes left.
What? That's right.
That's not high scoring, so we probably haven't been a lot of time on.
True. It's a good kick. And the home crowd is loving that.
Ten.
Here I am here on that one there, and I was only 12 then, and I played in that, because Ellison had their own association here one time, like there was Ellison and Mount Wedge and Colden, and then Port Kenny. We played in there when I come home from school in '53. I don't know just when it really closed up, but anyway, it closed up because they just couldn't get the numbers. It was after the war, and they just couldn't get the numbers of younger people to play, terrible older people, and so therefore they closed, and I was one of the ones that, I went up to Streaky Bay Way, and we played up there 4 years or something up there, and then come down to here. Then I went down to Kapini after that for another 2 years, and came back, and then that's when, I reckon be another couple of years in, and then they decided they'd have a football game here, which I was very proud that they did, because it was boredom when there was no footy here, like, so we went fishing and all those sort of things, but yeah, getting away from the footy, but there was a lot more people about than there is now.
An interesting note is that the 6 clubs today in the Midwest Football League have derived from 44 original football clubs in the same area. So that's a sign of our changing population and how the area and football leagues have adapted to it.
But of course nowadays I suppose you can travel a long way in a car to, what do you call them, to travel to a footy. But from here I used to go 150 mile to a club game because we had to go 70 mile or 80 mile to get to Cowca, and that was our home ground. But may I tell you, there was no training in them days, we just run and played. But our furthest one was Caraway, way up the top end, but fortunately there was 8 teams and we only had to play one another once a year. So we only had to go up there once, and then next year you didn't. But
it's really tricky because
it's complex.
Distance is starting to come into it now. Like, we don't travel very far in Eastern Eyre, but Midwest they travel a long way. Great Flinders get so many players out of Lincoln. They don't want to go to Kimber. Kimber are too strong for Midwest. Way too strong.
Through,
like, through the junior grades to the senior grades and that. And they want to go join Great Flinders, but Great Flinders don't want them. We're where we're situated, we're probably in the box seat.
We're logistically
good
spot, I suppose, being the closest club to Great Flinders. But yeah, we're not a strong club by any means. And I suppose when if you go into new leagues, you don't want to go in there with someone that's going to forfeit the B grade every other week, probably, do you?
What about a competition that doesn't have B grade?
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
It's probably not a bad. Yeah.
See, personally, I'd rather desensitise it and go the other way. Have them smaller.
Because, like you say, that's how it was pre-70s, wasn't it? There was no B grade.
No.
Well, if you scrap the B grade, you could have Rideau, you could have Cleve, Owsborough Park. Why not?
Yeah. Kimber could have 2 teams, and because like Anna Bay basically only had an A grade team all those years for 60 odd years probably. The Colts came in the early 60s, Mini Colts came in early 70s, and the B grade came in the mid 70s. So up till then there was only an A grade team.
But in 1964 was when we began Colts. That was the first year of Colts. And in 73 was when we started trying to play B grade in earnest, and so every club then had to provide 2 senior teams and 2 junior teams. And in some respects that was the beginning of the end for some clubs. They just didn't have the numbers, and so it forced amalgamations. But it was for the better, because really the football now is the whole day from go to woe. Is kids, junior start, girls and boys. And around about the same time, about 9:30, 9:45 or something, they kick off. Goes right through to all the bloody end of the A grade, and you got your day.
What is there? 21 guys in that reserves team. That's 21 guys coming through the gate. Maybe half of them have got their family with them. They're coming through the gate. They all buy lunch. That's 21 plus 15, so that's 36 buying lunch. 36 having a beer, and then probably out of that 20 staying for tea.
How much food and drink has been ordered?
Oh goodness. Well, this is our first day and that's full. The cool room out there still has a lot of meat and alcohol and soft drink. All the salad stuff. It's a fair bit. With the Euroses, sometimes we might sell 160, sometimes we might sell 200. So we've catered for 200 today. But yeah, of course, then you've got your pies and pasties, sausage rolls, chips and gravy, hot dogs.
It's quite a menu. It's a bit more complicated than it used to be in probably the old days.
Oh, and sandwiches as well. And we do make some salad packs.
Really? So footy's got healthy?
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't do it without a kiosk and all the other facilities. In fact, I was talking to Tina there before, and she's talking about the catering there.
Yeah.
They put on 200 Euroses today.
Okay.
Then they've got a menu with, normally they have fish and chips, they have gyros, they have all your, and then you've got your local bakery. In fact, it's pretty important to the economy, actually.
Oh, very big. Yeah. I've been to a couple of forums and things that we've been going through, and in Sandford we've done a recent, well, you probably, whether you've even seen it, but like every dollar that is spent through football and netball, because we're interwoven anyway, there's like a $4.20 return to the economy of the region. So very important, very important. I mean, and hopefully that sort of message is getting to higher up.
Because it's not just about sport.
No.
So the maths works, but what if you haven't got those 21 blokes? Like Port's played for 3 years without a B grade.
Yeah. But if you can, what they've done, they've probably got together about 12 or 13, and then another 5 have doubled up. So they've still got a B grade game, which meant an opposition B grader still had to come here. So that's still, like Kimber come here, there's 21 blokes coming through. So
the only other thing I wanted to ask you about is, of course, with numbers, of course, being an issue, and of course with the way farming's going, and you've got properties getting bigger and bigger, and there's more and more automation and that sort of stuff. I mean, your numbers issue is not going to get any better.
No.
No.
You're right.
I was going to say, of course, up until the 70s, all these clubs played without B grade.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a modern innovation. And in fact, that was the first round of clubs folding and amalgamating, actually, when they brought the B grade in.
Yeah.
Is that something that has been thought about?
Yes, yeah. We've got it in our heads that teams were 18 on the field, so many on the bench, and that's how you play. And clubs, and to be honest, clubs are starting to stress, look, I've got 15 B graders this week. Well, in fact, that's still damn good, and you can have a good game of football with that number. It's only in our heads that you must have 18 on the field, must have. We haven't changed. I've changed a lot of rules and things over the years, but ovals and goals, things like that, have stayed the same.
And the number of players on the ground. That's right.
Oh, well, that's right. So I don't know. There's no reason if you do. My personal opinion is that's. And I think clubs are already looking at that, doing it that way. I think the population's supposedly supposed to be stagnant on the peninsula. From the last one I read, over the next, their projection is pretty stagnant, right? So we don't want losing any more sides. So we've got to work out a way to keep what we got. Look, and you go down and say, for example, you play 14 side in B grade. If things change, you can go back up. But you next thing don't have a club or say, oh, that's it, we can't fill the side. Well,
that's the identity gone and the community hub.
That's right. That's right.
All these clubs, most of their history they played without a B grade.
The problem being is that I'd actually prefer to actually see them reduce the amount of numbers in your A grade side as a preference. If you want to, because you still want to be able to maintain a B grade for the kids coming out of Colts. You don't want to throw them straight into A grade if they're not ready for it. And it's more of a preparation ground, I suppose, to be able to have a bit of B grade before playing A grade if they're not up to scratch or not up to standard.
I think she's going up again. Oh, he's played on. Petters snapped the kick out. Oh, Bond has been knocked over miles off the bowl there. Probably should have been a free kick to Earl. Oh, wait, they've all gone down. Macabest. Brilliant young player, that lad. Got the old falcon off Ellison player's head out of bounds. Ball's in. Oh, Ellison are looking pretty good here. Old fella seems to have plenty of time. Oh, that's bowl. Young Andre Kelch. Big left footer. He's only a kid, this boy, but he's a man mountain. And he really grows some balls. He's going to be a hell of a player. Knocked out.
The moment a kid was jumping from Colts into A grade, I think you'd see probably some of them drop away and not be interested in playing A grade footy. And especially if you're going out there and getting bloody flogged by 20 odd goals and getting knocked around at the same time.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Well, maybe the B grade should be an underage, sort of set up under 23, something like that, and they play with whatever numbers they got. It could be 10-a-side, who cares?
Well, or even reduce your A grade down to 16 or 18 a side, B grade down to say 14 to 16 a side, just to accommodate everyone.
Yeah, because certainly it's not a workable situation in Eastern Eyre at the moment.
No.
No, I mean, even the Kimber and the Eastern Ranges people are not really enjoying seeing a flogging.
No, it's funny they say that, and yet they would be loath to let anyone move from there to Ports or Cow.
Yeah, well, they don't want to stop winning, but
no, exactly right, and that's.
But they're still leaving at 3/4 time.
Yeah. So, what do? You know, are you prepared to commit or let a couple of blokes move to an opposition club, as opposed to, you know, getting a flogging or giving a flogging each week? Again, yeah, look, it's not ideal, but it's not always about all the winning either.
No, it's not.
I know when I was playing it was. There's nothing further from my mind than losing. But in this day and age, I think it's just need to be a little bit more careful about you know, your communities as a whole. And if you can actually maintain that footy club and have that community feel still happening, I think it goes a long way to helping everything.
That's Corey Ashton to Corey Ottens, who's a mini colt, to my son Riley, who's a mini colt. And if that goes through for a goal, I must have missed that one. Oh, you did. So usually we're having mini colts play in colts every week because we're always short. So there's Ashton, under 12 superstar, makes it look easy, runs around other kids, piece of cake. Kick to Corey Ottens. Another mini colt, handballs to Riley Masters, another mini colt, gives a back, team play. Let's have a shot from the boundary. Why not? Future of the club.
Yeah, so you were about, what, 15, 16 when you started playing, what, A grade? Or?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't only an A grade then.
There was only an A grade?
Yeah.
Right, no B grade?
No B grade, no.
The B grade, because I was talking to Peter Wren last night and he was telling me that it was the same in County Jervois down there. They didn't have B grade up until...
Yeah, it would have been the same all over the coast probably.
Yeah, and that of course was that was the end of a lot of clubs who just couldn't field the extra side, of course, but they brought in Colts and B grade and in the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
And the people I've mentioned it to have said, oh yeah, but you've got to have somewhere the kids to go into because you just can't chuck them straight into A grade. But A grade's heaps easier than B grade. You get smashed in B grade.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even to a point, like if the kids have got a, I don't know, I can't remember where the hell it was. Anybody under the age of 18 that was playing senior footy, they had a tag or something on them.
Yeah, they still do that.
Do they?
They had that over there today, yeah.
Yeah, well that's a damn good thing.
Yeah.
You know, because like, seriously, you get someone 40 years of age and he's out there and probably shouldn't be, but he's out there and running around, there's a kid there and you're going to bury him, well, you just don't do that.
That's right.
Fair enough, it's in an association game and all the rest of it, but if you're playing that, well, you're the best of the crop, but this is just country football.
Yeah, and B grade.
Oh, but yeah, well.
Yeah, but I mean, it is, you know, it's scrappy and it's ugly and the ball will sit up horrible for you.
And the skills aren't as good. And
yeah, and that's when kids will get smashed, actually. In fact, I remember as a kid, as a teenager, playing my first B grade game and getting punched in the face, actually.
Really? Yeah.
Went and got a kick on this old bloke, and as I trotted back feeling pretty good about myself, he just whack.
Old Green Day, Mark Green, Far West umpire. Been around a bit, throws ball in there. Challen won the tap against the old fella that time. Chad Fleming's got the ball. Kicks out to the other young rooster. They're trying to get it out of their back lines. Rowley has just belted that young fella. And carrying on, it's a bit of a scrap down here. And Wirral has pulled a free kick out of that tussle somehow.
We're talking 100 years of Conncutter. Most of that history is without reserves.
Yeah.
Why don't they just do away with the B grade now? They haven't really got numbers.
Well, there's talk about it because Ellison's struggling for numbers.
bloke that was there last night, Clive Matthews, he said, you know, Ellison's got to the situation where they obviously got a buy side, and if they just do away with B grade, but it's a bit funny when you go to football. There's no B grade. You know, the Colts start later, and
well, it is. But I certainly have come across a couple of leagues in Tasmania that play without reserves, and then you've got, of course, the Riverine Independent play without reserves.
It's got to the situation where, like Hawks up there at Streaky Bay, there's, you know, a lot more. You know, they can get 50, 55 people out to train, and only got to pick 2 sides out of that. If we get 15 out here for A grade and B grade training, you know, we've got to make 2 sides out of that, and that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, that's not.
And a lot of them are only just playing for the sake of trying to keep the club going. And then.
But anyway, the ball goes on. Oh, Dallas, yeah, classy. Oh, hello. Kane, another Kane. Kane Sampson clears the centre half. Oh, Gonzo! No, he spilled that. He recovers well, though. Gets it on the boot. He hasn't kicked it, has he?
I don't. No, he's just missed it.
We'll always struggle for numbers here, because you see in the future, Central Eyre could amalgamate with Woodner, but then again, once we do that, it makes Woodner Central Eyre and like Hawks too strong, and the people like Wirral and Western Districts and them suffer even more, and there's no real future in sides getting done by 40 goals.
Which is sort of happening at the moment with the Hawks, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But we're also, I guess, probably at a serious state as far as the league's concerned, because there's a lot of the clubs across the Eyre Peninsula are finding it difficult to field teams, and it could be that there'll be mergers, but I'm sure whatever happens, there will still be strength in our sports club and our footy and netball here as well.
We live in interesting times, but the nice thing about me putting together this little story is that now that, of course, the snark will be, this is what's being done about the issues that you were talking about up at Cow.
Yes, yes.
Rather than something needs to be done.
Well, yeah. I think with a bit of a consensus when we've been talking about this at meetings or whatever, you know, amongst the, I don't know what you're going to call hierarchy.
Yeah.
And doing nothing wasn't really
an option.
As it still stands, it's still all about. It's still got to be agreed to and whatnot. We're only.
But something is being done.
Well, we're being proactive, so that's the best I can say at this stage. Is yeah, we're at least attempting to do something. You may not get yes straight away, might not get yes, or even if we get a yes, we may not get a yes on all the finer details and that sort of thing. But we know, we've known for a while that something has to happen. So,
well, there's certainly some mouth-watering contests.
Oh, if you could say right now that you would do it, you could set up an awesome program. It would be, and right at this stage, it would mean no club having to sacrifice themselves, which in my book is even better. If we can go in, things may still change down the track, but that's down the track. Right now, no one would have to sacrifice anything.
And of course, you've got fair enough. Ports is probably not going to play finals next year if it all comes through, right? But what John Masters was saying last night is that they are going to have more good games to look forward to, rather than playing someone who's a 20-goal better team every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks.
That's right. The matchups become spread out.
Well, 4 teams, and there's 2 weak teams, 2 strong teams at the moment. And we can be competitive sometimes, but usually it's 2 floggings around and 1 close game against Cow. And Rangers, they get Rangers and Kimber, they get 2 easy wins, and then they get 1 tough game. So no one's really getting what's consistent for a good game or to improve your skills. You're either getting flogged or you're getting it easy.
So there still will be uneven games, there's no doubt about that. That doesn't matter what competition.
Well, it's a fact of life.
Yeah, simple as that. But when you get down to a 4-team comp, the gap seems to widen, if you know what I mean.
The variety is less.
Yeah. Well, the interest factor is just about killed, isn't it? So,
and that's for Kimber and Eastern Rangers supporters as well.
Oh, no doubt at all. No doubt at all. I think we've both seen sort of slight drops in crowds.
Well, you see people from Cleve leaving at 3/4 time because they're 20 goals up. I mean.
And the same thing's sort of happening your way?
Yeah, we've probably got, you obviously got Yolana, well, you got 3 sides that are going all right. Cougars have got a lot of, I don't know, fly in, fly out, whichever way you want to put it, but one week they're outstanding, the next week guys are away working, so they're struggling for numbers. Lock is competitive for, like where we're in Ports ages ago, you're competitive for half a game because your top 6 match it with everyone else, and then you run out of puff, and so they've struggled, and Eyre United are struggling numbers and senior players. Like so you've probably got 3 sides that are reasonably well, one side that's outstanding, then 2 or 3 sides that are evenly matched, and then 2 that are struggling. Well, and I don't know how numbers really stack up in a lot of their talking. I know, so that's one issue Great Flinders has got.
Yeah. So my main concern was how the B grades marry up, thinking the B grade down here could be a lot at a different level and have different numbers, whereas we got 2 teams that do very well with B grade and high standard, and 2 teams that struggle for numbers. Like there's times when we'll drive to Kimber and have 7 players kind of thing. It's happened that way. But by the sound of it, that's no different at Lock. Well, they have 8 players last week or something like that, and a few B grade teams are struggling. So it's just more teams at your level. There's more teams above your level too, but you're not fronting up the same team every 3 weeks.
I think that's the biggest thing. And when I left, we had 5 teams, so you played 4 and a bye, and that was just a bit of a struggle. I used to think the bye was good. Now I've just had 8 weeks off. I don't really enjoy having that much time off. But
I mean, that's 10 clubs. Are all 10 clubs going to survive?
Long term, I don't think so.
That's the plan, is a 10-team comp, which preferably becomes an 8-team comp. So that would work well, and it'd be fairly even, but they sort of, you can't force that. It's got to happen naturally.
Well, probably after a year or 2 of getting absolutely flogged by Kimber and Ramblers and Rangers, probably Ports will go in with what, Angara?
But it's, I mean, they've had the opportunity to do that for years, but there's this a pride there that keeps them going, and this is new for them, and like Cal, I know they're looking forward to it because it's a chance to grab players from that way that are probably playing in a similar league, but now we're playing in an inferior league, might want to come this way. So, but it happened. See, the old Franklin Harbour League that was here got down to 3 teams. And they went and joined up with Cleve, who had 7 teams, and they started off with 10. And within a couple of years, that's when Cow North and South were formed, so that dropped a team out. And Rudale combined with Owsborough Park, which dropped a team out, and that went down to 8 and worked quite well.
That will happen after the first year, didn't it?
Yeah, 2 years, I reckon. It went 2 years, yeah.
Who knows? That's probably one of the concerns is, this is great, we're going to help more competition, things like that, but does it help a club like Cow that seem to really be struggling? We should be sort of propping them up to get to a higher level rather than saying, we'll just push that aside because we've got other things to worry about. And then if one team goes by the wayside, it doesn't matter so much, but it should matter. Like if we have one team go out of our 4-team competition, that's it, we're stuffed. But if we have one team go out of a 10-team competition, we can just think, never mind.
But the problem is when you lose a team, you don't just lose.
Yeah, you want to keep communities alive, it's the whole thing. And if Cow lose their footy team, that's...
You look at Ports in, as I said, 90 3, 4, 5, you'd get flogged, or 96. We had a lot of years there where we just got flogged.
Yeah. Not win a game for the year.
And you didn't have a B grade, or it would have been easy to shut up shop, and that was not far from the cards. But you lose that, It's not just a footy club. It's actually, it's a place where people meet, and you lose that, and then you don't get it back. So if Lock loses their footy club, that's a major part of their community. If Port's lost their footy club in 95 or 6 or in those 10 years after, like you lose that real community spirit. Like, you know,
it's a weekly event.
Well, it is. Like, yeah. I mean, growing up, you probably weren't much different, John. Like, growing up, we went to church, we went to footy training, and we went to footy, and we went to church. Like, that was it. That was our outings. You went to, you got home. Now, the other things you did. Like, we didn't do anything else. So that became major. That's a major part of your life. You know, I knocked around with this bloke and Pete Masters, and you know, we went to school together, but every Saturday. And
outside of football, there wasn't much. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the merger, anyway?
Well, it'll be all right if it happens. I don't know. With everybody's interests. You know, like if we just go in there and then they pretty much tell us what we can do, what we can't do, I don't think that's going to work as well as they want. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a good thing.
Well, I think they need Cal as a football club in it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way that they expect Cal to amalgamate with anyone.
Smith goes for it with Brad Hanneman.
Yeah.
Smith gets a handball out. So Riley Mills comes out with it to Piggott. Piggott gets it on the boot, looking for a target, and he's found Lockie Crab.
Very good set of hands then.
Against that wind, I just think it might be a bit hard for Lockie on that side of the oval.
Yeah, probably kicking right into the teeth of it there, isn't he?
So I'd be looking for a pass off, and there's plenty of space there for someone to lead into at the moment. Anyhow, he's having a crack, and I'll tell you what, he's proved me wrong. Bloody good goal. Good goal, and one that Cal really needed.
Yeah, I mean, everyone keeps saying, oh, you know, us and Ports can merge, but it's just like there's so much distance between, you know, like blokes that are 20 k's towards Whyalla and the guys that are the other side of Port Neale.
Yeah, well, because we're already an amalgamated club, we've got the 2 home grounds already. You amalgamate a third time, you got 3 grounds, you got no one. You can't say we're going to play all that footy here because you may as well just be that club.
You'd simply have the same thing as with the netballers. Probably Cal footballers and netballers, I guess, would go off and play in Whyalla.
Well, you'd get some that would go up there, yeah.
I mean, not as Cal, but that's what.
Yeah, I know. We're always
in practical terms
to keep the young blokes here. I mean, there's always that lure to go up there and get a bit of money here and there, and I mean, you can't blame them for that.
No, and the competition's so weak up there, it's like hard to get a game.
But I mean, a lot of those guys want to come here, and the only reason some of them didn't play here this year was they had their centenary celebrations up there. So, yeah, a couple of them are already voiced that they want to come back. They just don't like it up there. So, I mean, like football here, you still get good crowds, and at the end of the day, we get in the change rooms and have a couple of beers and.
You actually get bigger crowds here.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I used to go up to Whyalla a bit and watch one of my best mates up there, and I mean, even on their grand final, they couldn't even fill the that stadium there, and like, you just think it's a bit pathetic. But anyway, that's just the way that the footy's going up there, I suppose.
That's right. It's pretty weak. Having said that, it's just country football generally, because Port Lincoln you don't get the crowds that you get in the country either.
Yeah.
And certainly in Adelaide you get nothing like it. Like you get like 2 blokes and a dog watching there.
Yeah.
Whereas you only have to go up into the hills and you have 2,000 people.
Yeah. Especially when they get those draw cards in as well. Yeah, I've heard of a couple of games up there when like Modra used to play the odd game up there,
No, you do get 2,000 and 3,000 people crowds now in country football, certainly in quite a few places, really.
Yeah.
In front of Caleb Johnson. Good handball out there to young Sean Norsworthy. He's a Colt. Got a forward out. Yeah, the boys are going to have to really get recruiting very early. I just left it a bit late, maybe. we went for a few years where we were getting 4 or 5 players from Whyalla every year, and they were really good lads too. And we had a bit of a rule where we'd give them accommodation as well, and encourage them to stay on, especially on home games, and because then you're really a part of the club, sort of thing. And I think that's heaps important, instead of them just playing footy and grabbing a packet, and jumping in the car and going home. You're not.
Ironically, the people at Pinaroo were telling me that because they're close to Adelaide, and they get a lot of imports.
Yeah.
Mostly Eyre Peninsula lads.
Yeah,
actually.
a lot of lads from around here.
6 there this year.
Yep.
At least 5, but I think it might even be 6 or 7. They get in the car and or their minibus, and if you wouldn't touch that.
Big Hardy, bang! That's what we like to see. That'll get him going. That'll bring the crowd back.
Yeah, exactly. Right on, Hardy.
Bates.
Single-handedly. Gussie's excited.
Ooh, that got the blood flowing. What do you reckon, Gus? What are the odds from here?
Bag should bag it. You
bag it, all right.
Gussie says it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, I mean... Come on, he's earning him on to kick it. He's nailed it. You beauty! That's what we like to see.
So where did that all start from? Who sort of
Well, it was that holding the ball of Dringy there that come back, and then Hardy's big contest.
That's right.
Bang! Hardy goes bang.
Hardy goes.
Kick in the bakes, and away we go.
Who kicked in the bakes?
Was it Connor?
It was.
Adam Hull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
Best kick in the league, apparently.
Best kick in the league, I've heard. Even we broke a leg, yeah.
I mean, we're also lucky enough, if we wanted to, some could go to Cleve if they wanted to, some could go to Ungara, some could go to Tumby Bay, some could go to Lincoln. And, but that's not what we want.
No. Well, in fact, it's closer to Lincoln than what Elliston and Locke are together, and they're talking about them merging.
Yeah.
Imagine going 94 k's to training.
Well, it just wouldn't happen. That's it.
I mean, if you did away with the B grade, would it mean that Woodner and Central Eyre wouldn't have to amalgamate?
Oh, definitely. And in some ways, I wouldn't like to see Central Eyre amalgamate with Woodner, because it'll stuff up the competition. You know, you got two real good sides playing two sides that's going to be struggling. It's a bit like what happened over in Eastern Eyre, that's between Kimber, which was a full association once. You know, there's 4 teams in the association, they're all one side now.
How far from Cow to, I guess, their furthest would be Kapini, I guess?
Yeah, so I wouldn't even know which way to go to get down there. They still play at Kapini.
Oh, I guess they play in Cummins, I guess. Now they're part of Cummins Kapini, I guess, Cougars.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 140. The furthest man. Kimber's probably got the furthest. I reckon it's about 200 k's.
Yeah.
To go, but that's straight down the one road. And Kimber are the ones, they've been pushing for it for about 5 or 6 years to go down there. Yeah.
Just for a better game?
Yeah, well, it's always been seen, you know, the ideal thing for them would be to go to Midwest, but Midwest has probably got the same problems we've got here. You know, they're forfeiting so many B grade, they've only got 1 Colts grade, so it's always been thought better to go this way where it's a bit more.
Elliston will probably end up playing in that league too, because they're talking about they're going to have to eventually amalgamate with Locke, of course.
Yeah, but Elliston, you know, you can say what you like about them, somehow they survive. They're miles from anywhere, and they still come up, you know, even years when they can hardly form a B grade. The next year they get a few players and bang, there's another premiership. Yeah.
Like this year, they haven't really had a B grade most of the year.
No.
And in fact, they almost forfeited the A grade only about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And this is coming off a premiership last year.
And word is they might be going for a flag next year.
Yeah.
Because of Jay and everything, they want to do it for Jay. So I believe that those players are coming back again.
And then there was another guy who passed away just before that.
Yeah, Nicky Paul.
Yeah, and you know, that's a real kick in the guts for a team that's, you know, struggling to keep their head above water. But yeah, they're pretty resilient. They'll bounce back.
How's the footy going down there now? Is it?
They went into a bit of a patch there where the amalgamations and
well, I think there's more of them coming.
lack of players. Yeah, someone's got to amalgamate. There's no doubt about that. In fact, there's a paper out now that I was trying to get hold of before you came. But there's a paper out, and I think it's suggesting which way the EP goes in the next year. And it largely involves Westies and Elliston. The paper, I think. My brother-in-law's got one, and he was going to give it to me. That was yesterday. I haven't got it yet.
Okay.
But it'd be interesting to see what's in it and who wrote it.
So Westies are struggling too?
No, they're not.
No? What's it about Westies?
I think there are people here who are sick and tired of travelling that distance.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I'll tell you what, they want to talk to people from Elliston.
Yeah, that's right.
And of course the Westies people have to do it twice as, they do it every other week.
Yeah, whatever happens, the problem is going to be Western United and Elliston. Because when you look at a map, blind Freddie can tell you that the distance is a problem here. And I reckon Elliston's got to go to Great Flinders.
With Lock or?
Or maybe go with Lock and then into Great Flinders. Or maybe as a separate entity. And Westies, I don't know what you do with Westies. Don't know what you do with them.
They're stuck out in the limb.
Yeah. It's no good them amalgamating with Blues or Thebby or Caneva.
No.
That doesn't solve it.
No.
They've got to play somewhere.
Because there's some talk of Streaky and Wirrallah maybe going into Far West at some point.
Yeah, but that's been around for a long time, hasn't it?
It has.
So you've been up to Wirrallah? Well, I'm doing a film on Wirrallah as well. Yep. They've got a bit of history. Bloody oath. And of course they've never amalgamated. No, they haven't. Yeah. No, they've got most of Smoky Bay comes out there now. Yeah, that's right. Which is kept them going. And they can't amalgamate anyway. Where are they going to go? That's right. They're too far away from anyone. It's a bloody strong club. They're probably a bit in the same boat as Ports in that, whereas you've got the ocean out there, they've got all that unused land out to one side, sort of thing. So there's not a lot of people out there. Hey? There's not a lot of people out there. No, there's no one out there. That's right. No, and to amalgamate with anybody. Yeah. Well, Poocher and Minnipa have already amalgamated. Yeah. Sejuna's 100 odd k's away. Yeah. There's not an option. They survive or they don't.
We're in trouble. Rover's in attack here. Got the handball out. Should be another goal here. He's got it too. Yep.
And that was very interesting because Wirrallah badly wanted Rovers to go to Wirrallah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but prior to that, when that match was won by Rovers,
brilliant! Wow.
Well, subsequent to that was one. There was quite a bit of animosity between Wirrallah and Rovers.
I gather.
And so some things were done, painting roads and different things that didn't go down very well. You probably heard about that.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah. And so when Wirrallah wanted Rovers to join with them, there was still that bit of a barrier. But also, and I had finished playing football, but still involved very much in the club. And it was interesting that the kids went to school, all those kids in the Pindipi, Streaky Bay area went to the same school. Whereas Wirrallah was different because they had their own school. So it seemed to be, and the agricultural bureaus at Streaky and all this sort of thing, and the golf at Streaky. So it seemed a bit of cross purposes to many people to go to Wirrallah and yet most of the activity was Streaky Bay, the shopping and everything. So the railway line, not quite the railway line, but those closer to the railway line are more sensible logistically for training and socialisation for them to be part of Wirrallah and Caraway to Wirrallah rather than, and so Caraway, some went to Wirrallah, some went to Smoky Bay. So it's just a geographical thing as well.
Fred,
In 1950 there was a Calcutta.
19.
50?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon, Bone, you better give him some advice.
Just put it straight through the middle, Matt. That's my advice.
Right, give it a flick, give it a flick.
Coach's box is getting stuck into the lad here.
Shake!
Not a bad
He did it pretty nicely.
Yeah, he's drilled it.
He knew what he's doing.
Yeah.
So when it was the old days of Warrnambool and Conncutter, was they the big rivals, or was it Woodner?
It's funny because a lot of our best mates were our opposition. They wouldn't have, after we played them, and we'd beat them. We were backyard bullies really in some ways to them, and we had the quality players and had the better side, and legends and that sort of stuff. And we'd mix in, get on, and go to Cabros and Sunday boozing together and all that sort of stuff. But Warrnambool was different. That we were virtually, we hated each other on the field and even off the field, and that was just through generations before stuff. It wasn't just our era that was a problem. But I've always said that if Conncutter and Warrnambool can amalgamate, anyone can, and amalgamation has been great. It had to happen because they were struggling for numbers, and it was inevitable that we would get in the same way.
Jacko Joyce out of the pocket, looking for Ty McKenna, and he got him. Ty's passed to Zach.
Good spoil by
spoiled.
Daniel Thannons. Daniel's been a good pickup.
Yeah, where did he come from?
He played Colts for us, and he has played a little bit of A grade, but he's moved to Adelaide last year or the year before.
Right, yeah.
And he's been working over there, and the work run out a bit, so now he's coming back for 2 or 3 weeks at a time and working on the oysters.
Oh, lovely.
So he's still living in Adelaide, but he's coming back over for 2 or 3 week stints.
Oh, oysters at Smoky Bay have been bloody really good for you.
They have, yeah, yep. Yeah, we pick up, there's probably 4 or 5 on this side that will work on the oysters. Yep. So.
And the oyster industry at Cowal is not going real well at the moment because all the ones they lost through the POMs in Tassie.
What happened there?
Well, there's a virus disease got into the spat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
On Tasmania, and they couldn't provide the bloody spat for growing out at Cowal, and then they couldn't send them over anyway because of the risk of disease. Yes. So they've had to sort of start again, and they've actually got a breeding facility at Cowal now to start the oysters off, which is on land-based, but they pump seawater to it, and that's just on the south side of Cowal, quite a big facility. And there's a wren there that's Terry wrens mixed up with the oysters, and he spoke, and they're not back on their feet yet because they lost a lot of their production because of not being able to get enough spat. But Cowal is, they make more out of the district is making more out of their agriculture and mining than the farming does for them. Because farming, they've had a pretty shit year last year there.
Did it really? Okay.
The season at Cowal was poor last year, very poor.
Ellison going forward, out on the Watto wing. This might have gone out of bounds. See the big yellow Monaro in the background. A few rich farmers coming out from Muddamuckla driving cars like that around to go out of the centre. Oh, he's been belted high in the face by Robbie Pickett. Sporting a wild head of hair, the young Holmes. Wayne Holmes from Smoky Bay. Grows a good oyster and a feral bit of hair.
Yeah, so what were you about to say, Pete?
What was I about to say? What they said over at Far West with they'd prefer to go to 3 leagues, and they would expect the SNFL to organise it and dissolve 4 leagues and then just allocate 3 leagues geographically.
Yeah.
And I think it was brought up at that meeting that apparently SAPSASA has got, there's 3 divisions of SAPSASA over here, like Western, Central and Eastern, as far as the schools go, and that they set up perfectly for 3 zones. But I don't know, I get the feeling like they're talking with the 2 leagues formed, that they'll both be 10-team leagues, but ideally drop to 8 soon enough. But if you've got the 3 leagues, you're looking at 6 and 7, and all of a sudden they're getting, if teams are dropping out early in that, you know, you're
vulnerable.
Yeah, and if that happens, where do you go from there? You go to 2 eventually anyway.
Which was the point that John Masters made.
Yeah, yeah.
A little story, one of the elderly guys that lives in Cleve now, but where his farmhouse was, in his time of living and working on that farm, that house was actually in 4 different leagues at some stage.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so without moving, that's how much it has changed. We're not going to be able to go back to that, but...
What are those zones that exist with the...
Well, I think it's probably putting the Streaky Bay teams to the far west and the Alderley Hunt teams this way. And probably putting, say, Ports and Lock down that way, and maybe Elliston as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
And then Port Lincoln going in with some of the Great Flinders?
No, Port Lincoln would still be there on their own.
What if they lose Marble Range?
It's another story, isn't it? Yeah. No, it'll be interesting.
Are they very likely to lose Marble Range?
Marble Range would like to, yeah. But like this woman Maxine Biles is saying, you've got men organising this.
So it may or may not happen.
Probably without women being consulted first, so anything's bound to happen.
They haven't talked to their wives yet?
No. And they're probably thinking, what about us? Yeah.
And netball, you throw netball's a problem too. Why should netball move? They're going very well.
In Ceduna?
All around the place.
All around the place, they are, yeah.
And netball's got to go with football. You can't split them up.
No.
But I think there are people who'd like to split them up.
Well, one of the issues, of course, with Streaky and Wirraloo maybe joining Far West is that here the netball is separate.
Yeah.
It doesn't go with the football.
Yeah.
I think it certainly was the case when I was over here. That's just that.
I think they do now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Which is the way things should be done. That's right. It's much better.
There's always a bit of concern on amalgamating with the netball side. Has always got plenty of players on both the old Yananee club, the old United club, and the Woodner club. So there's always going to be worry. There's going to be too many girls and not enough places for them to play. But they resolved that by creating extra teams in the junior ranks, so that they had games amongst themselves as well as against the opposition.
But you certainly had a numbers problem suddenly with the netball.
Whether too many, yeah, but that was resolved by.
Need the extra.
Pretty sure they brought in extra teams and.
Lincoln doesn't offer a viable amalgamation option for a lot of clubs here because they don't have their netball follow them, and they won't.
That's what sort of works in favour with the 2 leagues, because we're pretty similar. Age groups of the juniors is pretty similar. There'd be minor details to tie up, but it would just be interesting to see what everyone else thinks about it. Like down there, they might think, no, stuff that, and Cow might think stuff that, but I've heard that Rangers and Kimber are all for it. But
it came up, I reckon it came 3 or 4 years ago, there was talk about it. It was raised, and it was one of those, what's going to happen here? And actually, I think that was before. Oh, it wouldn't have been before Rangers, surely.
No, Rangers has been around about 6 years now, I reckon. So,
Well, no, I wasn't president, so that puts it back at least 4 years. So.
But back then, I viewed it as no, we don't need to do that. It's just more travel, more head fucks. Hassle. You can edit that out.
Well, 200 kilometres from Kimber, of course.
Yeah, but the more we look at it now, Kimber will only have 1 game where they play a Cummins team per year. It's not
two Ed Cummins.
Okay, 2 teams down there, but they'll only have 1 trip. Each team down there only has 1 trip to Kimber. The rest of the time you're playing someone different. But so the travelling, well, we're in the box seat here because we're in perfectly in the middle of the whole shooting match.
Oh, I can see where you're thinking is you, John. You're saving all your travel.
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah, well, that's fortunate. We're on the arse end of things until now. Well,
it reunites you with, in fact, well, not Warminda, but it reunites Port Neal with Ungara and
well, you had the Eastern Eyre Football League. Tumby actually won 5 or 6 premierships there from the early or mid 40s to 51, 52.
Great work. They went into the Port Lincoln.
Then they went to Port Lincoln and back to Great Flinders in 81.
So they had 4 teams up at Kimber. You probably know the drill anyway, but one went to Dark Peak Watiki, and then Kimber with their 3 teams came in. So, which was always a bit of a bone of contention. We always thought it should have been probably 2 teams out of Kimber, but that's the way it is.
Well, of course, we're coming up to I was over talking to John Gascoyne a couple of weeks ago, and he certainly has a bit to say about it. Very forthright. That we certainly are probably a bit overdue for some hard decisions. And
yeah, it's one of those areas. I mean, there's always a bit of discussion about what should happen, and the problem being is that you lose your footy club, you lose your community in a lot of respects. It's a bit like losing your school, and I've always said, you only have to look at. I played at Far West, and I've had a 14 comp up there for a lot of years. Yep, it's probably not ideal, but at least those 4 clubs are still existing, and the juniors are still coming through, and
But the thing with that competition is the last 4 years have had 4 different premiers from a 14 comp. Well,
not too bad.
That's not too bad. Yeah. I mean, Port's got one here the other year, but we haven't looked like it here.
No.
And Port's are a long way from it, even though they got it 2 years ago. Yeah.
That's right. In fact, of course, this year Cal have been on the end of some 30-goal Haydns.
But somewhere along the line, we've probably gone through up to 50 or 60 players. So they're here. It's just a matter of getting them all together at the same time. Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who they have tomorrow, actually.
Well, and the whiteboard in there, they've got 2 teams picked with reserves and blokes still, you could count, 10 guys that are unavailable. So they're all there,
Our communities have been shrinking, and they still are. I mean, we're in trouble again for numbers at this stage, and we've got this district, but Cleve have got twice as big a district, and Cleve is now a club, or they call themselves Eastern Rangers, but they're a club that's drawn from what was Cleve, Rudell, Owlsper Park, Dark Peak, and they travel there. You go right out northwest of Cleve, halfway to Widner, and they play in at Cleve.
Yeah, well, I was president of the club here for 4 years, and when they Cleve amalgamated, but you see, they're not used to having to do it tough, you see, whereas down here, we were at the meeting and they were going on, but we can't have a B grade, and I said, well, don't you know we went 4 years without a B grade, and then we eventually got one back? Oh no, we couldn't do that, they said. What? Do that? And I said, well, that's what happened.
Yeah, that was what.
And then in the A grade, we went, oh no, I forget how long it was, but it was a year and a half or something without winning a grade,
And Cleve, of course, was, being the major centre, they were a fairly powerful football team, I dare say.
Yes, for a time, but strangely enough, they never really had decent. They had club rooms, but not a sort of catering area. And while Cleve dominated too a bit, they were going downhill quite sincerely, and so were Rudell. So they amalgamated.
That's right.
And the amalgamation, of course, gave them an enormous area of players, virtually from Dark Peak to halfway to Cow, and the whole population of Rudell and Cleve. So they did dominate the competition for a while.
Well, Jaron did know, you played in a lot of those teams, and when you know you're going to get beaten, and then you go up to play Kimber, And then Kimber, because they basically, well, they come in with 2 teams, but not really, and then they ended up with like 4 teams playing as one. Yeah. And you know, no one wanted to go and play them because basically their B grade were all trying to get in the A grade. So, you know, B grade, instead of being a social game, it was a real rough game, wasn't it? Like, because they were hard at the ball belt and everyone and whatever.
Yeah, it changes the sort of...
Yeah, because they wanted to get into the A grade.
Yeah.
And then when the Rangers amalgamated, well, that just made 2 teams like that one, you see.
Riley Maitland down through the wing. Beautiful kick to Fitzgerald to lead out.
Nice kick.
Long lead from full forward.
Square's empty, but he
Matty Van Leeuwen.
Yeah, lowered the eyes there well.
Good play from Berger. So Matt Van Leeuwen lining up for goal for the Tigers.
He has...
Beautiful kick, that's a goal, another goal to the Tigers.
I think Ports have kicked 1 goal, 1. Kimber are now 6 goals.
6 goals on the board for the Tigers.
5 goals up here. Ports have probably played a little bit better, just haven't been able to make the most of the opportunities when they're going forward.
Yeah, they've had some good movement forward, just haven't been able to capitalise on the ball, have they?
Better than the scoreboard suggests.
I think so.
Back in the middle.
So I was trying to get the other clubs here to do something and go with you know, make Kimber do something to try and even the competition up. But and then I got the message. It was only Cow and us that wanted to do that. All that Cleve wanted to do was get amalgamated.
Rudau will now lose its club, I reckon.
Yeah. Once they get the new building, they'll be the end of Rudau.
The clubs that have amalgamated and got strong, they kind of like that, well, as an outsider, that security of that strong club and winning the premierships is what it seems. I don't know that you'd go back, but it would be for the best, definitely.
Yeah, well, when the option is...
Good way to look at it, isn't it?
Yeah. They were, you know, like Kimber League, becoming one club, that was massive. They should have never let them do it, you know, like that was the demise of country football, I think, when you let clubs amalgamate, because then your area gets bigger, less people will travel, and so only the best start doing it. And, you know, the core is your juniors. You know, your juniors are what you're there playing this type of football for, because, you know, without your Colts having a game and your little mini league, you know, your little mini league netballs are so cute. You know, they play all year, and I don't know whether one year my daughter coached the mini leagues and I don't think they even threw a goal. But man, they were out there every week, you know, like, and it's so cute to see them getting around and playing as a team and being with their other friends on the day.
Really, your club is about providing somewhere for your members to play, which includes all the kids. So if we amalgamate clubs, all of a sudden we've got full junior lists at the moment. Half of their parents won't travel them to, you know, Great Flinders or Woodner or whatever, so kids miss out.
A lot of people around Arno and that don't like travelling, do they?
No,
they're not. They're not known. We have to do all our trainings at Arno Bay because, well, they do have the best lights too. But if we train at Port Neal, the netball really drops off, and some of the junior footy drops off, and we get players out of Cleve, we get players out of Lincoln, and without the players out of Cleve, we probably don't have a club. There's a few families that come out of there, or we do have a club, we just struggle a lot more. So it's really tricky as to which way.
But how would you feel about travelling to Poochera?
We'd rather head south, just quietly, right? You sort of head south anyway. Lincoln's the epicentre of...
People are happy to go to Lincoln, they've got nice coffee shops and...
Yeah, Lincoln's where everything happens on the Eyre Peninsula, so...
Young McCullum picks up the ball. And what a run by the young lad, and what a quarter he's played. He's come on, mate, and he's given the spark that Eastern Eyre have needed.
But anyway, we'll leave it for the moment. Thanks very much.
Okay.
All right, we'll leave it there for the moment.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Peter Lyons. A bit of a ledge.
Is it all going?
Yeah, mate.
Oh.